Can I ask one question? Who is the ruler of the earth? Man. Who is the ruler of the sea? The ruler of the sea is the fish of the sea. And who is the ruler of the air? The fowl of the air. Now, do you know that all of these rulers have a ruler? So the question is, who is the ruler of the sea? Man. Man is the oldest creature of God. Man is one of the oldest creatures of God. How do I know? I present this to you. For thus saith the Lord that created the heavens, God himself that formed, he had established it, he created it. Who was it that he formed, that he called earth? Adama. 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 Adama is the Hebrew word for man. And Adama in simple definition means earth. Go do your research. Man actually in Hebrew means earth. So man, before the recreation of the earth, was the earth. Adama. Earth, man. In a sense, okay, for instance, let me give you a picture of what man was. Man was the first earth and the first living creature that came from the earth. Water produce aquatic fishes, gave offsprings. God commanded the water to produce fish of the sea and the fowl of the air. God commanded the earth, meaning the land, the dry land. He called earth. Okay? Now that's a different type of earth. He says he called the dry land earth. The dry land earth. He called the water that was gathered together sea. But yet, before the dry land and the water, he said the earth was without form and void. So you will see that there are diversities of earth. Both the water was called earth. The void, the empty land was called earth. And then, of course, he classified earth as a dry land. So when God made the first earth, it was man. Man was the first earth. Man was the first offspring of the earth. So man ruled the earth. Man was the earth. He controlled. He was the God, the governor of the earth. But the judgment of the first and the second heavens, of course, raptured, affected, oppressed Adama. God, in his love, restored him back and gave him an upgrade of another essence, rank, and authority. Now, scriptures. Suddenly God said, let us make earth. You know, your problem is that you translated it in English. So let us now go back to the original Hebrew word for man. Because man is an English translation. So what's the original? It says, let us make earth. Let us make Adama, which also means red, which also means earth. So let us make Adama in our own image, after our likeness. So let's rephrase. Let us make earth in our own image, after our own likeness, and let them have dominion. And God formed the man out of the dust of the ground. So you can see Adama is earth. So he took him from the realm of the earth. Can you see the consistency? He took him and gave him another form. And that form was now the capacity to host the breath of God. And when he took man from the dust of the ground, he formed him and gave him a higher vessel, a higher form. Remember, God formed the earth. He made it and established it and then created it. And God formed man out of the dust of the ground and breathed it into his nostrils. And when he formed the man, he transferred into him a breath. And that breath goes into his body, into the man he formed from the dust, from the earth. Adama, earth, he took him. Let us take earth. Let's take the living creature, man. Adama, red earth. And he formed, gave him a form of another capacity and transferred into his nostrils the breath. Ruach. And man became a living soul. And because man became a living soul, his upgrade made him superior and higher than the realm of the earth. So he emerged into another higher being that will require that he would have to migrate into the realm for a living soul. Now, because man has migrated, man has upgraded, man has been raised higher than what he used to be, he became a ruler of the dust realm. He became a ruler of the ground. He became a ruler of the earth. He became a ruler of the animals. Everything that ever came from the earth, man gave names, because he is in another higher dimension, another higher consciousness. He's in another realm. So because God brought him out of the realm of the earth and placed him in the realm of the soul, man became a master of another realm. See the upgrade. From the realm of the earth, he ascended into the realm of God's garden. So man now has authority in the soulish realm. Man has authority in the first and the second heavens, because with a soul, as a soul, he has power to the mind realms. He has a power to the soulish realms. He has a power to creatures of those dimensions, but still limited in the realm of the spirit, because man is not yet a spirit. He only has a breath that has not yet united with man, because when man dies, the breath returns back to God. The soul is held in Hades, and the body returns back to the dust. So man has a mastery, man has access as a living soul in the realm of the galaxies, in the realm of the stars, in the realm of the second heavens. He's the ruler of the second fixed heavens, because he is a reflector of God's likeness, bearing, mastering the image of God. who sits in the garden of the Almighty God, who has the capacity to relate with God. God comes down every cool of the evening to fellowship with man. Man was not the one praying to God. God was the one coming to fellowship with man. Today it is opposite. We are the ones striving to fellowship with him. Higher than the fellowship of man with God was his role and responsibility in the realm of dominion. Worship in the sight of God is responsibility of your mandate. I made you to have dominion over the fish of the sea, fowl of the air, over the earth and everything that creeps upon it. Establish my authority, establish my kingdom, bring Eden to all other civilizations. For this is worship unto me. It's not singing unto me. So go and name all the animals. Take charge. Then I will come to you every cool of evening to interact with you. And after I'm done with 2-3 hours, I will ascend into invisibility. Now, God comes to his garden because man is in charge of that garden as a living soul, not as a body, not as a dust, not as Adama, not as earth. He upgraded him, gave him access to another realm, and that higher realm gave him a new responsibility and authority over the earth and the realms above the earth. So because he made man a living soul, man increased in his rankings in the realms. And then he will have authority over the realm of the air, over the realm of the sea, and over the realm of the earth. Why? Because he has upgraded into a living soul. And Satan knows that if he can dilute, if he can corrupt man, he would descend back to his previous realm. Because where power is delegated is in realms. And before you assume any realms, you must have been created, made, and empowered with the essence and ability and component of that realm. So for God to upgrade man and made him the captain of a higher realm of the soul, he would have to form him from the dust of the ground and use some certain components that we can't understand. He used it and formed the man, and then transferred into his nostrils. A man became Adama, became a living soul, and God blessed the living soul in the Garden of Eden and said, have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over everything that creeps upon the earth. So man became a captain of another realm. So every creature in the heavens, the fowls of the air, are subject to Adama as a living soul. So the realms of the air are subject to man. The realms of the sea are subject to man. The realms of the earth and the field of the earth are subject to man, as long as he retains the component of his soulish ability, as long as he retains the habitation of Eden, as long as he is clothed with the garments that God himself had fashioned with his hand and formed to upgrade his consciousness. And he was there as a king. He ruled in that dimension. Serpent came and deceived him, questioned him, and enticed him. He ate a tree that transported him back to the dust. If you eat this, you will die. and he ate. And God came and charged him and said, in the sweat of thy face thou shalt eat bread till thou return unto the ground. For out of it was thou taken, for dust thou art. So that's the consequence of the sin in the garden. Before Adam and Eve returned to dust, they were dusts. God declared Adam after sin, you are dust. Because he lost everything God has infused into him that made him a living soul and authority in the realm above the earth. So he lost his dominion and capacity to rule over creatures in the heavenly realms. He lost his capacity to rule over creatures in the sea. He lost his capacity to rule over the creatures on earth and the earth. Because dust has no authority over any creature higher than the earth. Thou art dust. To dust thou shalt return. And now you have a new master in your realm. His name is the devil. And you shall be his meal. To Satan he said, you are cursed amongst all the cattle, and thou shalt move on your belly, and thou shalt eat dust until your day is of death. So when man returned back to dust, he had a new ruler that sat on his throne that he was once the leader of the earth. And this new ruler consumed him as food. Celeberi elesasavaki komaniteda exito parada hekenida. Don't give any room to the devil. You're messing with your destiny, your spiritual fate. One mistake Adam made, he was dethroned from the garden of God back to where he came from, back to square one. And when he returned, he thought that he was going to continue his rulership as the king of earth, because his name was Earth, Adama. But Satan became the ruler and took possession of his existence.
War against the beast of Europe with the bondservant of Christ John. 11th and 12th July 2024. Day 1, 6 p.m. Day 2, morning session, 9 a.m. strictly for ministers. Evening session, 6 p.m. open for everyone. Venue, PWA Silverdome, Van der Hagenstraat, 2722, NT Zoetermeer, Netherlands. Register now for seat reservations. Visit our website, www.spiritrevelationchurch.org. The Tribe of Fire presents International Ministers Conference with the bondservant of Christ John. Dates, 27th through to the 29th, August 2024. Session times, Day 1, 6 p.m. Day 2, morning session, 9 a.m. Evening session, 6 p.m. Day 3, morning session, 9 a.m. Evening session, 6 p.m. Register now for seat reservations. Visit our website, www.spiritrevelationchurch.org. Venue, 284 Voortrekker Road, Maitland, Cape Town, South Africa. See you in the realms.